Your statue collection is about to get thunderstruck. Here's your look at the new Kotobukiya. This is the Marvel ArtFX premiere, and this is the statue of Thor Odinson. ArtFX Premiere is a high-quality statue line that challenges the limits of product development by capturing characters in the highest possible level of detail. The statues in this line are limited to a select number of pieces worldwide, and each one comes with its unique collector number. So let's get this review started. I'm going to take the tape measure and I'm going to go way past his hand. Where are you going? I'm actually going to the very top of Mjolnir with a new coat of paint, and we're going to stop it right there because after all, that is the highest point of the statue. According to my tape measure readout, you're looking at the statue standing 11.1 inches, just a little over 11. In also centimeters, works out to be 28.3 centimeters tall. Just for some size comparisons, as this certainly is the second ArtFX Premiere statue we've had a look at. We already had a look at Captain America. I want to put them side by side so you guys can see what they look like. I guess you could say that they are scaled appropriately to one another. Thor does seem a little bit bigger, but then when you factor in the fact that Cap is squatting down, bending his knees, and on that rock face, you could kind of imagine that if he was standing straight up, he would be roughly about the same size, maybe just a little shorter than the God of Thunder. Like with Captain America, Thor also comes included with this really nice cardboard card. It comes inside of a sleeve, and we can go ahead and open this up. Each one of these Premiere ArtFX statues will come with one of these included cards. Hardest part, in fact, is actually just figuring out where the seam is. There we go. It comes with this really elaborate, thick cardstock card. I mean, the level of thickness just for the card alone is pretty impressive, and that's not even before we're having a look at the statue. On the front is an image of what the sculpt of the face and the top torso is going to look like. You've got ArtFX Premiere located on the side, Thor Odinson down below, and then if you flip the card around, you'll have a numbered sequence out of 3,500. The folks over at Kotobukiya were nice enough to send this my way, and for that reasoning, it's actually 0000 out of 3,500 pieces. Whatever numbered sequence, though, of the statue would be, of course, you would find it right here, out of very limited release of only 3,500 copies. This is a snap-together model kit, so for that reasoning, when you do get this out of the box, it comes in 4 individual pieces. The base, the main body, Thor's head, and Mjolnir. Why don't we first have a look at the display base, and then I'll show you how everything kind of goes together. The base is very familiar, seems similar to almost a similar rock facing to what would have been included with Captain America. I thought actually, if taking the statue of Captain America, that these would somehow line up to one another, though the coloring and the shape is not quite the same. It does almost kind of give you a very subtle concept. You could actually put these two together and like match them up. It would have been a neat effect if Kotobukiya had crafted their stands in such a way that you could have actually connected them to the other stands of some of the other Premiere ArtFX pieces that you may have picked up. But the similar rock facing, though slightly a little bit darker here with the God of Thunder, has peg holes on the top, and that will supply and hold the pegs from the undersides of his feet. When you flip it upside down and turn it around, I did it the right way the first time, you've got ArtFX Premiere serial number, and the same serial coding is that the one that matches the card. In fact, again, we'll just kind of bring the card in so you guys can see it is the exact same number. If you had 1, it would be 1 on the card, and so on and so forth. But overall, a nice looking stand. It's subtle. It doesn't take too much away from the base, from the actual main statue itself. Thor is quite the impressive statue, and I like that they just kind of kept a subtle base. It's not overly busy, but it's still a lot of detail that's been incorporated in just like the individual rocks. And you can just see like they've added some airbrushing here of some darker colors. Looks like there's slightly like a greenish gray that's been put into there as well. Overall, just a nice looking statue and suitable for Thor. I'm going to go ahead and get the statue assembled. This bent leg right here is going to go on top of this rock face. So you just line up the holes to the pegs, or the pegs to the holes, and just press them down. Being that this is all comprised of plastic, you don't have to worry as much of this breaking as if it would be, say, like a resin, for example. Then we can go ahead and take the head, which I guess I could give you a close-up look at the head. Don't worry, we'll kind of get a little bit more elaborate with close-ups when we actually put this into the socket, the open crevice area of his torso that's right now missing a head. This is what the head looks like. Just loving the head sculpt on this guy. Some nice silver that's been added to the helmet. The wings there located on the side. Just overall very happy with how this one turned out. When you're putting this into the opened area of his shoulders, you're actually not going to put it in straight. Instead, you're going to turn it slightly to the side. And it actually just lines up. If you're not quite certain either, the shape will be a good indicator as well. And that just slides into place just like that. The last thing we have to do is then take Mjolnir, which actually has a new coat of paint. It's not quite, we don't know yet if this is, it's not obviously the same metal as the normal traditional Uru metal that would be used for the traditional silver version of Mjolnir. Instead, this is kind of more of a gold color, which happens to be the same gold coloring that's going to be on Thor's arm. The way you can put Mjolnir into his hand, though, it's not simply just a case of sliding it into the opened, gripping hand. What you actually have to do is you take the handle off of Mjolnir. There you go. It's not so much a twisting as much as it's just a pulling, but you kind of want to just do a little bit of wiggling along the way as well. Take the hand, see the hole there, just fit the handle through. I am a little worrisome about doing this repeatedly. Of course, I would imagine you'd only do this once or twice along the ways of where you ultimately want to display it, just because I worry that rubbing the handle through the grip of Thor's hand may wear that paint down. And we can go ahead and take the top of Mjolnir, and we'll just kind of snap that in place. And there you've got the hammer in the grip of Thor's hand. One thing that's neat is they actually strapped around the wrist of Thor, and they made it look like it's actually coming from the handle of Mjolnir, which is really neat. I like that. And there you have the finished statue. A new updated take of Thor Odinson. It really does look neat on this particular figure. Kind of has a traditional look to Thor, and yet still very upgraded. Like, again, the additional gold that's been added to his arms, and the gold now added to his hammer. This is really a nice little upgrade to the design of Thor that we had before. Getting a nice close-up look at the head. I know we already spent some time looking at the head. Like the shading that they put into the beard. And overall, I'm just actually happy with the skin tone that they gave this figure as well, this statue. You can see the vein work running down his shoulders, across his biceps, and across his forearms. And it's subtle. They've added just a little bit of paint, but not enough that it stands out and pops right in your face. Instead, you can see the texturing of the vein work, but like I said, it's been done and kept very subtle, and I think that's a good job on Kotobukiya, the fact that they did tone that down the way that they did. It does look like there's a little bit of speckling that's been added to the forearms. In fact, all the areas that show the exposed flesh of Thor does seem that there's like this a little bit of additional speckling that's been added to it. Once again, you've got the veins here. This one vein is a little bit more obvious than some of the others. They added what looks to be like a darker kind of bluish gray to that. But other than that, like all the vein work, even in his neck, is kept pretty subtle. And I like, again, that they went with that. I really even just, again, like the fact that they added vein work to the statue. It just gives it a little bit more realism, if you will. But the helmet, though, and the face portrait is something I think I like the most about this entire statue. Just a really good stoic expression on Thor's face. Now, of course, he's got some additional stubble, more additional bearding, I should say, on his face. I love the chrome work that they've added to the helmet. These sections here are a little on the fragile side, so just be a little careful of that. I always want to stress that kind of stuff like that to you. Then you look at the actual top, I don't know if I would say a tunic, but the top armored plating there of his torso. It seems like it's more than just one color. In fact, actually, if you tilt it certain ways, it seems to almost glow with this lighter blue. It's kind of in the areas in between the muscles. Like the creviced areas seem to be a slightly lighter blue, and a more darker blue seems to be more the surface color. It's actually closer to being a dark, dark blue, borderline black. Some gold panel lining is represented here down the side of his torso, which also is here up at the top there in those little rivet points that hold his very long cape in place. As we move further down, we've got some nice chainmail that's been done to this. Oh, I really like this chainmail. It glistens and the light just bounces off each of those individual little square plates. It does look really quite good. And you can even you can feel that they've added this texturing to it. I like that it's not smooth either. You would almost imagine like these plates would be moving as his legs are moving. And because he's got such the flow that he has in this particular statue, it does really look like these plates are moving. These chainmail little links are moving along with his body as he continues to move across the stone area here. Then we get down to his boots, which has that carryover to the same darker and lighter blue. Again, you get this little bit of areas of lighter blue. It kind of plays well with your eyes when you're like looking at this. When you tilt it certain ways, you can see like the lighter colors just kind of resonating, especially areas up at the top here where you got the top flap of his boots. Some nice gold trim down there on the sides of his boots, are really outlined around the shin guard sections of his boots. And you can see also how they've been strapped around to the side there. One of my also favorite aspects of this particular statue is the fact that they've given the cape a nice flow to it. It naturally drapes. Sometimes capes can come across artificial. I like that this one has like a natural flow to it. Darker areas get airbrushed, of course, darker colors, where the outer edges here are still kept that lighter, almost cherry tomato red. So again, a really, really splendid looking statue. It comes together quite well, too. This is certainly, like I said, not my first ArtFX premiere statue. This is now my second. We've already had a look at the Captain America, putting them side by side. While Captain very much feels more rooted in kind of classic design and look, Thor, of course, gets his upgrade with his newer look, which also so happens to go along with the gold that's represented in his arm. That glorious metallic gold works so well on this particular figure. And of course, you've got now the gold also in Mjolnir's hammer, too, the hammer of Mjolnir. Overall, just again, really, really happy with how this one turned out. This is where I think Kotobukiya shines. I know primarily I'm usually a collector of the Bishoujo statues more than anything else, but the ArtFX Premiere stuff has really been impressing me as of late. Not only are the sculpts really good, but as you see here specifically with Thor Odinson, I mean, it's the color that really pops on this particular statue. You've got really dark, dark colors, but then around that you've got the lighter colors of the silver and, like I said, the plating here in his armor. And then you've got the gold banding around the sides. And then again, the icing on top of that is the gold in his arm and the gold in his hammer. All around coming together to give you a really neat design for the God of Thunder. As comic characters go, Thor seems to succeed as one of the best examples when it comes to statues. In fact, it would be hard-pressed to find a bad example of a Thor statue, and before you start listing them down below, generally you can chalk that up to bad likeness, a bad sculpt to his face. The epicness that Thor is, after all, he's the God of Thunder. Like I said, generally getting him in a pose, a stoic, strong stance. is generally more successful than fail. Kotobukiya, though, I think are kings when it comes to premier statues, getting us a smaller rendition of the God of Thunder in some of his best looks yet. I really do like how they kind of have bridged the gap between comic realm and realistic realm, giving us something kind of in between. I really do like the head sculpt for Thor, the full beard that they've given him, and that vein work that they put across his body and his arms and his neck really just adds that little bit of extra realism to it. Now, where this one is the separator from the rest of the crowd is the fact that Kotobukiya not only lands a fantastic likeness of Thor, but when it comes to the ArtFX Premier statues, their paint is some of the best you'll see. Hopefully examples like this in this review will show you guys the level of detail that they put into their pieces. Like I said, their paintwork is unmatched by, it seems, other companies. This is really, if you want to get a premier version of Thor, this is the kind of statue you want to be adding to your collection. If you did manage to pick up this one for yourself, let me know down below in the comments section what you guys think of the 1/10 scale pre-painted model kit of Thor Odinson. Or, based on this review, if this is the only opportunity that you've had a chance to see this firsthand, let me know in the comments section what you guys think of the new ArtFX Premier Thor statue, and if you would pick it up for yourself. Today we were having a look at the Kotobukiya ArtFX Premier Thor Odinson statue. Again, thank you to the folks over at Kotobukiya for making this happen. If you guys also want to go back and have a look at some of my other Kotobukiya reviews, well, after all, there is a playlist you guys can check out and see all the previous videos that I've done up to this point. And all the future Kotobukiya reviews will also be in that same playlist as well. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't done so already. Make sure you turn on that bell notification if you haven't done so already. And certainly stay tuned, because there's going to be a whole bunch of new Kotobukiya reviews coming soon to this channel. So keep your peepers peeled for new content that's coming onto this channel on a regular basis. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.